For flip's sake, no more deals for Manchester United, or no deal for Manchester United in this January transfer window, and this has been an embarrassment. Ineos should have just gone and got anyone, whether that was someone, a decent player on loan. Like, what is going on at this football club? The fact that they haven't brought anyone in. Yes, we've had three good results under Carrick, but the team and the warning signs have been there for a player to come in. I think Ineos had to do much better in this window. And it's been absolutely vital for Manchester United to bring someone in. Now, as reported, it's the transfer window's closed. Like, no, there's no player that Manchester United can sign, and it's, for me, it's been an embarrassment. Whether that's going and getting Ndidi on loan, whether that's bringing in anyone on loan, a winger, a left back, anyone who would just improve the squad. Now, I know we need a midfielder, and I think that's a position that is obvious that we need. But ultimately, Manchester United have got it massively wrong, in my opinion, in this January transfer window. They needed to bring in someone, particularly in that midfield. I know Casemiro and Manu have done very good jobs this season, particularly in the Michael Carrick, but we did need someone to come in. And again, apparently, though, they were only going to go and get their signings if they believed there was a right option out. Again, we pushed for Semenyo at the start, but nothing turned into it then. So listen, it's been a very poor window. There's been quite a few loans from young players. Apparently Malacia was going to go today, but that didn't materialise. So it hasn't been the greatest transfer window for Manchester United, if we do say so ourselves. It has been quite poor. I've been quite disappointed with Ineos and how they've acted, really. I think it's, if United want to go to that top four, I think we're going to need a better squad. We're one injury away to Casemiro to be going back to Ugarte in that midfield that massively drops off the quality, or one injury away from Luke Shaw to be forced to play Dallo out there or something like that. So, listen, the squad is good to an extent, but I think we definitely needed reinvestment this summer, and I think Ineos have left it with a big target on their back, and I think they know that Carrick's not going to be the manager in the summer, but I know they still needed to bring in someone, and who that player is, we don't know. But listen, there were a lot of links. I know Conor Gallagher was linked to United at the start. Obviously, he ended up at Spurs, and Diddy was linked as well. He stayed at Besiktas. There was obviously links about Kobe Mainoo leaving, Xerxes leaving. But yeah, ultimately nothing has materialised, and we kind of knew it was going to be kind of a dry January for Manchester United in that aspect in terms of bringing anyone in. But listen, we know who our targets are for the summer. Whether that, well, we know what it is. It's a midfield overhaul. That is the expectation. That's the hope for Manchester United, and that's ultimately what they want to do. They want to have a huge midfield overhaul. They want to bring in 2 or 3 midfielders. They want to get rid of Ugarte. They want to bring in Anderson, Wharton, Baleba, 2 of those 3. They want to massively revolutionise that midfield. But I think there are some other key areas that Ineos need to target. I think defensively, we do need some reinforcement. I think definitely a fullback. Again, Dorgu's going to be utilised more in the attack in a 4-3-3. So I think we do need cover for a left back, because, as I said, Shaw's been very good, but we know his injury record hasn't been great. And listen, if Shaw gets injured, we go to Dallo on that side, which again is not great and it's not ideal. I know he can do a job there and put in a decent shift, but ultimately it's not what Manchester United want. In terms of centre backs, I think we're alright. I don't think we're in need in one. Obviously, goalkeepers, we're perfectly fine in that position. I mean, centre back wise, you have De Ligt, Maguire, Shaw, Martinez, Heaven, and Yoro. So I think we're alright in that aspect of things. I don't think we're in desperate need of a centre back. Midfield, obviously, we know that's the priority. Getting rid of Ugarte, getting rid of Casemiro, bringing in Anderson and bringing in Baleba. For me, that's what I would do, and that's what I think Manchester United will do. And the attack, listen, Rashford will probably go on a permanent. Sancho will hopefully go on a permanent. But everyone else, Ahmad, Mbumo, Cunha, Sesko, I'm more happy to keep at the club. Xerxes as well, I think he's an interesting one. He's someone for me that I would definitely look at selling. I think long term, I don't think his future at the club is sort of guaranteed to be a starter, which I don't think he should be anyway in this moment. I think Mbumo, Sesko, these sorts of players are doing better than him. But if he wants to stay and fight for his place at United, I totally respect that. But again, I expected United to bring in someone, whether that was on loan. But yeah, it has been a very, very poor January for Manchester United. Tara Malacia, who was on about to board a plane to Turkey, has been baffled that Jason Wilcox has blocked his planned transfer. Manchester United. Now, Malacia, fellow Manchester United left back Harry Mass and Patrick Dorrit has suffered significant injuries in the week. So I think the reason why he did stay at the club is because of that injury to Shaw and his potential cover. I mean, that is a last resort, really. But United obviously can't take that risk if Shaw does get injured, looking at his recent history over the year. So, yeah, listen, no sort of plans from United um, to bring in anyone this summer. They were only going to get someone if they believed that was their best target. Um, and yeah, that's the January transfer window's closed. I'm not happy with the club's sort of way in which they went about it. I think there was definitely opportunities there in the market for someone to bring in, and ultimately Ineos and Ratcliffe didn't believe it was the best decision to do that, and probably didn't have the money to do that, if we're being honest. So yeah, listen, I'm frustrated about that in that aspect, but listen, Manchester United down to us. If they do nothing in the January window, then it was always their plan. So if quiet, then all eyes are on the summer for their midfield revamp. United have to be compliant with PSR this season without European football. Michael Carrick would have been happy with the squad being strengthened, but he's understood from the start that he's not the perfect manager. Carrick has had recruitment meetings, however, within those meetings they only looked at short-term options for the midfielders. Should Xerxes have departed, they might have gone into the market for an attacker as well. So, listen, that was it. The aim was never to bring anyone. I think they did massively need to improve the squad. I think ultimately a disagreement on the transfer window ultimately led to Ruben Amorim being sacked, and a downfall. He wanted to bring in some players, and yeah, I think that's ultimately what's happened. But listen, let me know your thoughts on the news. Hopefully, it's a big summer for Manchester United. Hopefully, we kind of bring in 3 or 4 players that we want to see at the club. I'm hopeful something like that will happen. I think it's going to be a big summer from United in terms of ingoing and outgoing. I won't be surprised if there's talks about Bruno leaving. I don't think that should happen. I think obviously Rashford will go on a permanent. I think we bring in 2 midfielders. You could potentially see a Dallo leave. But yeah, I'm excited as we always are for the summer window. So let me know your thoughts on that. I'll keep you up to date with all the news that's going to come out now from now until the summer. But yeah, the transfer window is over. It's closed at 7 p.m. today. And yeah, no activity for Manchester United. It's not been great, but we continue to move and we keep going forward. But what else can we do? Hopefully they bring someone in the summer. But yeah, I mean, what do we expect of Ineos anymore? I think it's very frustrating because this squad did need strengthening in the summer. If we are sorry, in January, if we're being honest, but they're gonna wait to the summer. Hopefully, as I said, the decision's right and they get to bring in the best players. But there was a real opportunity, and if United miss out on top 4, I think the January transfer window will be looked at as an opportunity to bring in players, um, to bolster that squad. Because listen, there was some desperate need to bring in players. But let me know your thoughts.